Okay, y'all, I'm back. For some reason, it's not allowing me to take a new picture, so I don't know what I look like on the front page of this video, but all is truly and indeed a blessing. I am here with you and for you, as always, sharing revolutionary hoodoo, New Orleans voodoo secrets and recipes with you. I don't know where my camera is, but this crystal is blocking. Give me a second to get myself together, to get my equipment set up, just as I'm allowing you all time to readjust. I appreciate your patience, and I certainly appreciate Kiona for all of her continued help and support as it relates to the chat and how I maneuver in the chat here during the live broadcast. Trinity Supreme Powers, greetings and salutations, beloved. Thank you so much for being a first time viewer of the show. And welcome. We typically are really orderly and have a ordered and written opening, and here lately we've been running into technical issues with me trying to broadcast directly from my desktop. So I'm restarting now a new show from my cell phone. So just give me a moment. I'm still setting things up. I want to get my desktop chat up so that I can see you and Kiona and your questions a lot clearer. Tasha Sweets, greetings, beloved queen. Thank you so much. Seven, the gentleman God. Thank you so much for being present. And of course, Kiona is our moderator. She helps us to sort of control what's going on in the chat. Not that anybody needs controls, but so that I can see what's going on in the chat as the chat continues to scroll up on me. Please, if you have questions, comments, requests, criticisms, write them in all capital letters so that I can see them clearly and respond to them clearly here. We were talking about many things. As always, I start speaking about the ancestors and the relevance of our ancestors. And spiritual Osset, please, never Mr., never Sir. I am Divine Prince. No offense, but I don't really use those words. Um, don't let the hair on my face confuse you. I'm non-binary conforming. My titles are as they are, King of New Orleans Voodoo, but I don't do Sir, I don't do Mister, I don't do those Eurocentric sort of markers that we've all been sort of conditioned under, So just call me Prince, Divine Prince, Ty Mecca, Mecca is good, but you don't have to call me Mister. You don't have to call me Sir. Um, I don't acknowledge those words. For I am spirit, as we all are, and be spirit. If you're a spiritualist, if you're a practitioner, understand we have to be spirit. This is a time when we're being still. In some cases, we're being quiet, more quiet than usual because some of us aren't working, can't leave the house, aren't traveling your normal daily routine. So we now have to be spirit. And even at the ancestral level, we acknowledge our great mothers and our great fathers as they stand up, particularly right now in this time space. My great grandmother and my great grandfather stood up from both sides of my family right here in front of me yesterday and spoke about the conditions of what's going on. And many spirits are speaking. The spirits are indeed speaking right now. This is the time for divination. This is the time for meditation. This is the time for cleaning down your shrines, ammonia and wiping down your shrines, and really getting connected with your tools as it relates to spiritual connection. During the first edition of today's show, before the technical issues, I also spoke about the great powers that traveled with us during the Middle Passage and made their way into the New World. Here in the States, we sometimes refer to them as the seven African powers. Uh, Today, Shango, Kabio, Sile, Oya, and then of course tomorrow, Babalu Oye. And Babalu Oye being the power, the deity, the force behind pestilence, disease, smallpox, polio, AIDS, Ebola. Um, it's a deity that is now important more than ever. I often meditate and think about why certain powers, and particularly these that we call seven African powers, made their way and survived into prominence more so than others. And the ancestors suggest, the ancestors speak and say, we access what we knew, we access what we remembered, and we access what was useful, what was proactive, what produced results. Right now, imagine yourself being under that duress, not being able to access a doctor, having to go to the midwife, having to go to Uncle John, having to go to Mama Cecile, having to seek out the herbalists and the practitioners within our own community. Um, it's so much of what we see and feel and are experiencing today. This is a time to memorize your herbs, to study your herbs and what they do and how they interact, and that you have on hand, utilize. This is the time to plant. It's springtime in much of our part of the world. This is time to plant. This is a time to plant your seeds, literally and figuratively, with the idea of fruitfulness, of growth, of that which will come forward in 30, 60 to 90 days. But we're also being asked to do so personally, spiritually, individually, to be still, to be quiet, to be proactive, to be happy, to be creative, to be meditative, to be neighborly, but from a distance. Be neighborly, be available. We must be more available now to each other than ever before. Call your mama, call your daddy, call your uncle, call your aunt, call your brother, call your sister, call your cousin. Acknowledge those who don't acknowledge you, because right now it is the human thing to do, it is the divine thing to do. And it's also the proactive thing to do, personally and collectively. See, it not only helps the community, your family, the people around you, the society, but there's some self care in there. It helps the self. It helps the self. This is not the time to worry. And I've had some conversation with some of my elders about the definition of worry, the definition of anxiety. And I believe that the divine creators have gifted us emotion, an emotional response for a reason. Not to be debilitating. When it's out of balance, it's debilitating. When it's too much, it's debilitating. When you can't calm it, it's debilitating. And so then we have to seek either medical intervention or spiritual intervention. And so now's the time to be quiet, to be meditative, to exercise, to do your aerobics and your stretching and your yoga and Tai Chi, uh, dance. This is a time to dance and put on hours of house music, and allow that energy to flow. This is the time to listen to Arabic chanting. This is the time to listen to Hindu music. This is the time to be still and to be quiet and to be creative. Before we broke up, and Keon noted it in the chat, I've already predicted millionaires in some of the readings that I've been getting in the most recent 72 hours. People who are going to be widely successful a year from now because of what they're writing right now, because of what they're creating right now, because of what they're producing right now, while being still, while staying home, while being quiet. Let me acknowledge my chat. Forgive me for leaning into the camera. That's the only way I can really see my chat. I'm looking for my capitalized questions. Thank you, Kiona, for having my back. All is truly indeed a blessing. I'm going to get the Blog Talk Radio going again. When I had the funds, when I had the resources. Right now, I'm still concerned about food and water. I really need a water filter. Um, Whether it's one that you attach to a faucet or one that's a little bit more permanent. There's a water filter I found. If you Google water purifiers, it is a long blue tube. You attach it to a food grade white bucket or pail, and then you can purify and filter water with it. So I need water. I need a water purifier. And right now, I'm willing to accept any kind that I can get, but I particularly want that one because I can collect 100 gallons of rainwater in my backyard, and that water can be then siphoned through this purifier, and it can be used, and of course, food, and then, beloved, I'll absolutely get the Blog Talk Radio going again. I want to create some new Blog Talk Radio pathways that are just meditative, that are just tranquil, that are just serenity, that are just me speaking life and power and healing um, and love through the Blog Talk Radio. But I am also going to go back to the simulcast broadcast of the radio. Thank you for the question marks. I also have alerts, many alerts that keep blocking my chat. Let's see, where are my questions? I'm not seeing them. The water filter that I'm talking about, that I found on, let me see if I can pull it up, that I found online is about 60 bucks, $60 plus, your packaging, your travel, not your shipping and handling, your shipping and handling. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, thank you all for being present. Please type your questions and comments in all capital letters. Um, Kiona, beloved, will help me to see them and to identify them. Now, I like the pitcher purifiers. I like the sink purifiers, but you got to keep buying filters for those. There are some metal purifiers that are $200 or $300 in cost. In a perfect world, we would all have something like that. But the one that I'm referencing specifically is called Sawyer, Sawyer, Sawyer Point One Emergency Water Filtration Kit -blue. It's $60. As I described, it's a blue tube. It connects to a white bucket. It has a siphon with some kind of filter mechanism on it. And I'm sure that filter has to be replaced over time as well. But this can filter larger amounts of water. And that's why I'm interested in it. I don't have a problem with the pitchers. I would love a pitcher, a 30 cup zero water pitcher, or a 30 cup. I don't know why I can't find the brands that we're all so familiar with, like right in my face right now. Pure is another one, but the Sawyer, Sawyer point is the one that I'm most curious about. There's one called Berkeley Light water filter. Beautiful, but it's $250. There's a designer carbon filter that's $150, and those are that metal one that sits on your countertop, and you can put maybe 10, up to 5 or 10 gallons of water in it at a time. But I'm most concerned right now, for obvious reasons, about water purifying and some kind of purification. I don't have any right now. I live in one of the oldest houses in Treme. So I'm concerned about metal. I'm concerned about lead. I'm concerned about contaminants in my own water. And the idea that we, buying bottled water, that gets tiring. That gets expensive. So I'm looking at that right now as an immediate need. Of course, food. And then I'll be happy to sort of kick Blog Talk Radio back in. Let's see. Kayla asks, what do I recommend for those being awakened up in the middle of the night? Girl, no, you didn't ask me that question. Be still. Be still. Wake up. Go to the restroom if necessary. Grab you a beverage, cold water, cold juice, coffee, tea, whatever your preferred beverage is. I would suggest water and cool water, not necessarily room temperature. I know they say room temperature water is better for you, but in this case, cool water. Breathe over the water. Some of you in former shows have seen me do this. Have watched me do the show and pick up my water and breathe on it and speak chants over it. It sets a vibration just like a crystal. It sets up a vibration. And so you never want to drink your water in a rush with negative ideas and thoughts going on in a scattered state of mind. You want to either stand still or sit still. And first, be peace, be love, be healing, be positivity, and breathe that over your water. You can literally charge your water. Just like putting the cleanest clear quartz crystal in your water, you know, and allowing that to charge your water. You can also and should also be breathing love, peace, healing, prosperity. My camera's moving over your water every time you drink it. Every time you drink it, you should be thinking healing. You should be thinking balance. You can think the colors of the rainbow. Envision the colors of the rainbow, if you will. Envision love, if you will. But you should be charging your water just as you charge your crystals, just as you charge your mind, your thoughts, your sports team before you go out onto the field. You want to interject healing, love, unity, tranquility, whatever you need. And if you aren't clear about what you need, just breathe. Just breathe and be peace. Um, I also suggest Caleb being woke up at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's happened to many people normally, but it's happening to many more people now, and particularly those of you who are sort of being brought into a new schedule. Um, you're not going to work, or now the children are at home, or now your spouse is present many more hours of the day than normally would be the case. You are now too being woke up at hours of the day. You might be napping more now during the day, and so now you're up at night. Um, get your beverage, and then be still and be creative. Write, read, study. If you're feeling anxious, hold a crystal and be still and be meditative and allow your mind and your body and your spirit to become in unison with the crystal. This is one of my favorite pieces. This is a double terminated quartz crystal. It also has triple phantoms in it. And a phantom is like the rings of a tree inside the crystal. But you typically have to hold the crystal. I don't have a phantom near me right now. One that has a really obvious phantom that I could show. Oh, yes, I do. A phantom is a form of inclusion. So this quartz has inclusions in it. That bird's nest, that orchid-looking thing, sea urchin, like a sea. What do you call those things you see in the sea with all the spikes on it? That's rutile, tourmaline. That's an inclusion, but it's a form of a phantom. And a phantom leaves layers. So you'll see one layer on top of another layer on top of another layer within the crystal. And it mirrors the inner evolution of the crystal. And within this one is a twin phantom. I probably can't get it in a way that you can see it on camera. So just listen to me. And this one has a single phantom in it. And this is my one of my favorite pieces, and particularly one of my favorite pieces right now, because that phantom element gives it that ability to go back and forth dimensionally, back and forth in time and space, back and forth in past life and future life, regression and progression. And it also allows me to bring things together, people, places, things together. Often when I'm doing love and relationship work and requests, there's almost always going to be a twin involved in it. And when there's that soulmate connection, that soulmate family element to it, then I'm also most certainly going to use a phantom or a cluster or something with multiple terminations on it to suggest that coming together of more than one thing. So you might be getting creative at 3 in the morning about recipes. Stop, breathe, write that down. You might be thinking about spiritual things. Stop, breathe, write that down. We are literally getting spiritual downloads of information right now from God, from the goddess, from the ancestors, from the spirit realm, and we need to bring that out of just thought, mind, imagination. We need to bring it out of the cloud, the spiritual cloud, the universal cloud, the Akashic record, and bring it down into our reality. And you do that first by speaking it, by writing it down, by creating it, by painting it, by sculpting it. You got to bring it into this world, and we are being gifted right now things that are going to bring us great wealth, great abundance, great happiness, great peace, great tranquility moving forward. I do not have any sense of doom, gloom, negative energy about what's happening right now. I'm cautious, super cautious. You might call me paranoidal cautious in terms of the germ. You can't come in. I'm spraying down everything from the door. I'm spraying my mail for 2 weeks. They're just now beginning to talk about that on the news. Um, Being careful about your packages. I've been spraying my packages. My niece, who's a hip hop extraordinaire from New Orleans, shout out to Chris Styles, the Dame. Chris Styles, the Dame. She got a video spraying down her mail. It's what you do right now. And you keep living. You do what you need to do to be and to be alive. Forgive me if I'm missing any questions, Kiona. Um, Tasha Sweets is asking, what if you feel your ancestors and their energy is there, but they are quiet and standoffish? Beloved, that's normal. First of all, look at it this way: the ancestors are ever living. So yes, we have a ceremony, we have a funeral, we have a burial, and that's unique to your location, to your culture, to your tradition, to your lineage. But in voodoo and ATR, what this sacred space is, your ancestors, first of all, are ever living. They're ever present. They're in your blood. They're in your DNA. So they're present in all things. But we have to look at how we, as a culture, as a people, as individuals today, call on our ancestors, why we call on our ancestors, the type of requests we have for our ancestors, what we say to them when they show up. You know, so you're literally waking up great great grandmama, great great grandpapa for what? And to say what? So yeah, you get that feeling. And I don't necessarily want you to interpret it as they're being standoffish. Many of them are going to be quiet. Just because you pass on and go into the ether doesn't mean that they're now somehow perfect. Some of them are still healing. Some of them are still evolving. Some of them are still dealing with their challenges, and that's why we have reincarnation. So sometimes those spirits come back to redo, to readdress. We're all here to redo, to readdress. Um, so they're not necessarily being standoffish. Some of them can't speak. When you look at ancient Egypt, Kemet, and the ceremony, the opening of the mouth in the Book of the Dead, in the Book of Coming Forth, the spirits, the mummies, literally, the mouths had to be opened. So just because you're on the spirit, on that side, you can't necessarily speak. Sometimes your ancestors come through in a dream, and they don't speak. They just look at you, or they pass through, or they point to, or they direct your attention to. So they can't all speak. Not all dead. Not all eguns are going to speak. Egungun, who we see in the Yoruba festivals, in the masquerade, in Carnival, um, they are considered evolved ancestors. They did good in life. They were probably extra productive in life. They're now extra productive in death. They may have been lyricists. They may have been linguistic. They may have been articulate in life. They are articulate in death. And so Egunguns speak. And they speak in that high pitched voice, and they speak in Yoruba and in Akan and Fan and ancient languages that many of us now have time to study, now have time to learn, now have time to look into. Um, we're trying to take shortcuts, and so we're trying to speak and communicate with English and with new English. They don't understand this new language. They don't understand our slang. They don't understand, the new jargon. They don't get that. And because it's second nature to us, some of you don't think about that when you go into the spirit realm, that you literally have to change every way you are viewing your reality, including what you say and how you say it. Pay attention to your words. Your words are power. Your words are power. If we understood our words, we would be more quiet and we would be more careful about what we say. Um, Kayla, I hope I responded to your question. I know I'm jumping around a bit as I always do. Tasha Sweets, the same comment goes out to you. I hope I'm addressing the questions and moving forward without missing anyone. So they're not necessarily being standoffish. It also may be your shrine setup. No one needs to be quote unquote initiated to work with their ancestors. However, when you start working with your ancestors and you want to be specific, World, we would have been born in Oyo. We would have been born in Oshun. We would have been born in Togo. We would have been born in Benin. In our family, within our tradition, we would have been introduced from day one to our ancestral deities, the Loa, the Orisha of your lineage. Now we have to fix and repair past the Middle Passage. Now we have to pick up from where we are. And that's where reaching out to an elder, an Elagoon, such as myself. I am an Elagoon, which means someone who is in service of the ancestors, who can then instruct you on how to specifically tap your lane, your lane, your vibration. It's like the old cord board phone systems. You got to plug into your lane, your lineage, for your mother, your father, for your great grandmothers, your great grandfathers, in order to get that more perfected connection that you might be seeking, that I'm empathically now reading on you to seek. Um, Normally, I don't read on this show. We're in a very different day and time now. So I'm going to start reading people. Please forgive me for that. It'll be spontaneous, it'll be organic. I am open to your questions, but understand that if you ask me to read you, I'm going to read you live on air. And you have to be present in that. So, yeah, they may be dry. If your ancestors are too dry, they may not speak. If your ancestors are too wet, they may not speak. If your ancestors are too hot, they may not speak. So there are elements that have to be looked at when we are feeding and addressing, our ancestors. Um, there are 14 people in the chat. Many of us, thank you so much, enjoy the knowledge, and I'm certainly appreciative of the knowledge. I'm also appreciative of the donations. I wouldn't have toilet paper if it weren't for you. I wouldn't have soap. I wouldn't have food. I wouldn't have the necessities of life if it were not for you. Um, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for Keona sharing the PayPal link, and I'm grateful for those of you who absolutely don't ignore it, who utilized it, and who utilized me. This is the time. Use me. Don't abuse me. Don't take advantage of me. But this is the time to use me. And it transcends money. It transcends how much you have. It transcends what you have. But be realistic. Be practical. Be fair. And understand that we all need each other right now. We all need each other right now. Patreon, I don't care for Patreon. I have a Patreon. So far, people aren't using Patreon in the way that I would like them to. Um, I'm willing to teach, instruct, initiate through Patreon, but Patreon is set up with a sort of a limited scope, in my opinion, in terms of how people are paying the subscriptions and then how people are responding in terms of the material that they receive. I'm sponsoring several other people, um, sort of behind the scenes in Patreon, so that I can get a better understanding of Patreon, how Patreon works. I like the opportunity of being able to help others in Patreon. But right now, my students, my initiates, my godchildren are getting way more from me, Keona, by just emailing me, by just reaching out to me directly. Um, I got onto Patreon because it was new and other people were using Patreon, and I thought, okay, maybe people would try this. But so far, I'm not getting very many people who want to use Patreon. And indeed, if you are on a budget, I implore you to use Patreon. You can connect with me for $10 a month, $15 a month, $20 a month. Whatever it is. I can't remember exactly how my people set up that Patreon. But please, by all means, thank you, Kiona, for inserting the link. Use the Patreon. Um, I just sometimes, I get blue in the face for advertising, for marketing. I myself, as a Labor Day Virgo, don't have a large capacity for advertising and marketing. So I don't do it probably enough for my own stuff. People probably didn't even know I had a Patreon. So I appreciate you for that, Keon. I absolutely do. Um, but just like this show, when people are active, I'm active. When people participate, I participate. When people share energy, I share energy. When people share love, I share love. I'm not self serving in any way. I'm not here to hear myself or to see myself. I'm here to share. I'm probably not going to shave again until the end of this whatever we're dealing with. I'm not putting on makeup. I'm not filming. I'm not on set. I have had people reach out to me. One in particularly would prefer that I did have hair on my face. So I'm probably not going to shave until the end of this event. I'm just being right now, and I'm being for myself. I'm being for God. I'm being for the ancestors. I'm just being. I am being. That is a mantra within itself. I am. I am being. I am. I am being. Breathe that over your water. And watch how God and magic and voodoo shows up for you in this present moment in time space. Yes, indeed. Tasha Sweets, thank you so much for your questions, beloved. I hope I'm helping you and I hope I'm speaking to you. Spiritual all set. When I get woke up, I always want something sweet. What does that mean? Yes, indeed. First and foremost, by the law, spiritualists, naturalists, herbalists, by law, if we have no medical degrees, we can't speak to medical things. However, just like the TV commercials, check your doctor, do your labs. I keep forgetting where the camera is on this phone, so that's why my eyes be all over the place. Um, Make sure you're not pre-diabetic. One of the first signs for me in terms of pre-diabetic was all of a sudden desire for sweets, and particularly if you don't normally desire sweets or crave sweets. So make sure physically nothing's going on when you can get out and see a physician. Drink plenty of water. So if you're going to have your sweets, drink water first. Breathe over your water. Have your sweets, and then have a little bit more cold water before you sit down or then lay back down. Now, in a more spiritual sense, um, your ancestors may be desiring it. So don't just eat the sweet, um, dab a little honey, dab a little molasses, you know, put a piece of your cake or your or fruit on your ancestral shrine, and then just partake a little bit of it, and see if that quenches it, if that subsides it. Um, Sometimes the sweetness helps to bring blessing, helps to bring abundance, helps to bring joy. Sometimes the sweetness can be a sign that your inner world might be too negative, might be too critical. And Spirit spoke to me of this earlier today, and I'm feeling a connection to that right now. Some of you, your inner world is too critical, it's too cynical all the time, naturally, all the time. Right now is not the time for that. Right now is not the time for that. You've got to transform that energy. If it's not important, don't worry about it. If it's not important in the terms of what we're living with right now, don't analyze it. But we've got to move beyond criticism, dissection, to being creative, being open, being hopeful, being imaginative. Now is not the time to think things are going bad and they won't improve. Now is not the time to think I'm at the bottom. Indeed, we're all at a certain spiritual bottom. Now is the time to look up. So acknowledge the sweet, dab the sweet with your ancestors, and then partake just a little, and then journal, beloved, and then write down what you're feeling, what you're sensing, what's being said. The desire for sweet can also say that in your analyzing, you're missing blessings, you're missing openings, you're missing opportunities to be creative, to create and recreate. Uh, I hope that wasn't too personal. I hope I responded adequately to spiritual offset to your comment. Thank you, Kiona, again for that Patreon. I'll use Patreon if my audience here would participate in Patreon. And that's a good idea. If you like this show and you support this show, send me the offering. Thank you so much for the donations. I don't want to call out anybody's name. Thank you so much for the offerings by way of PayPal. But another way of supporting this show is to join Patreon. And from there, I'll give you video, music, documents, oriki, which are Yoruba prayers, chants, mantras that we say daily within the 4-day cycle for the spirits for the Orisha of the day. So today is Shango and Oya. So we would speak Oriki, Oya, Oriki, Shango. And so I would share that with you in the Patreon. That might include a video, that might include pictures, that might include ritual activity here in the space. And some of my friends and families and partners here in the traditions of ATR in New Orleans are also utilizing Patreon in a very similar fashion. Understand it's not the same as real organic initiation with me. If you want that, if you want those services, fix, repair, change, email me. But if you want to support the show, if you want to receive the behind the scenes mysteries and information, Patreon is an excellent way for us to do that, for us to share that. Kiona makes a very important comment. Shamans charge $1,000 an hour for this type of knowledge. And she states that she collected the monies for one, known firsthand, supporting at any amount. Um, okay, girl, your wording, your grammar, but I got you. Yeah, try Sylvia Brown, try Iamla Van Zant. Many of these people are very expensive to access. I am not. Even for what I ask and require in donation, I'm not asking a whole lot for what I do. And those who have had readings from me, have had services with me, have had connection with me, open your mouths, speak out loud, leave comments and ratings, public comments and ratings when I ask you to at the end of the reading so that others know what the experience is. It's more than just a reading, beloved. It's more than just, I looked to the crystal ball, and yes, I do have the crystal ball. I do have the cards and saw your future. It's so much more than that. And my readings don't end and begin with one phone call. My readings don't end and begin with one email. Many of these people are lifelong friends, family, practitioners, clients of mine, after having come in to the house of the Divine Prince by way of a ritual request or an email reading request. And yes, I do virtual and remote readings. I use Skype. I use WhatsApp. I use Google Duo. I use YouTube. I use all these arenas to communicate and reach out to you, and particularly right now, reach out to you, so that we have a more intimate, a more direct uh, connection. Um, Keon, I'm getting so many alerts right now. They're covering up my chat, so be patient with me. Well, yes, and when you say one of your tarot readers, girlfriend, what do you mean? Is it a store? Is it a website? Or someone that you utilize? But yeah, there are many out there. Some of them acknowledge me. There's some that don't acknowledge me because they're not adhering to protocol. And that's okay too. I'm all right with that. But yeah, I've touched many. I've touched thousands. I've never said this before out loud. Thousands. Readings, consultations, students, initiates. I often refer to Yahoo 360 as a timeline. If you understand when Yahoo 360 as a social network was created, developed, had its heyday, and then subsequently closed, that lines up with Hurricane Katrina in 2005. So there are many online that I've touched since 2005 that we see or don't see. Papa Say, remember? Me and Papa Say share the same birthday. Used to be really friendly. Um, I don't hear from Papa Say at all. Um, Candelo, love Candelo. Candelo sometimes broadcasts, as we all do, and then sometimes it's not there. But I still love and support Candelo. Candelo used to be one of my regular listeners, my regular supporters. So there are many that are out there. Some have passed away. God bless the truth terrorist. Um, Ifama, Queen Ifama, may she rest in Orun. Tasha, Tasha Love, who's still making jewelry, beautiful copper, silver jewelry now. She's still active. She's still around. She's in Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. So yeah, there are many out there who I've touched, who I've connected with locally, nationally, internationally. The Obatala of Ile Ife, friends, family have been here, have broadcast with me. Um, Many of the Obas and kings and leaders of Fa and Ifa in Nigeria, Oyo State, Oshogbo State, um, Togo, Benin. It's extensive. I probably should speak about it more. I probably should brag about it more. I certainly need help moving my book forward. Um, I really do. That's a serious request out there in the universe. I also need someone to really help me to get my books forward and published. That's something we can do without you coming to my house. PayPal, email, we can do that. Let's see. Kayla Talk, referring to the way they engage you doing dreams, physical visions, and at your altar. What am I missing, beloved, in your question? Should my ancestors' assertiveness be viewed as a sense of urgency, or is it just their nature? It depends, Kayla, on how the ancestral assertiveness is coming through for you. How is that manifesting for you? Sometimes it can be, as I suggested earlier, you're not handling your business. You have homework to do. For instance, there are those under the sound of my voice who have done my ancestor work in divination, who know exactly what that is, what that entails, how to operate within that. And there's a divination system that comes with that. It's very simple. You get yes, no, and then a few other more complex responses that require you to seek a Babalao, to seek a Ianifa, to seek your godparents. So it depends on how the assertiveness is coming through. Sometimes it's you're not paying enough attention. You're not lighting your candles. Your shrine's been dark too long. You haven't fed the shrine. You haven't applied all the appropriate implements. And then you're not taking care of the implements. Just like your Bible, just like your Quran, your shrine shouldn't be collecting dust. Every item has a purpose, has a ritual format to it. Um, so you will get assertiveness for that. Sometimes you'll get assertiveness because they're communicating and you're not hearing, you're not seeing, or you're in denial, or you don't know how to operate in what you're hearing and seeing, and you'll get assertiveness. Again, you should seek your godparents. Absolutely. You should seek a Babalawo, an Ianifa, a Hogan, a voodoo priest, a Elagoon. You should seek me and help me to help you to clarify that. Um, yeah, they can be assertive. They can be extremely assertive. Even in a tarot card reading, your ancestors can be extremely assertive. They will push you down out of the road if an 18-wheeler is coming and you can't see it and you refuse to see it, you refuse to hear it, or you just can't. They absolutely then will produce assertiveness. And in the tradition, there's always a process. In the tradition, you seek your parents, you seek your godmother, your godfather, you seek a guide who could sort of help you to interpret the signs. Asata Jones signs. Search that in YouTube video. Asata, Assata Jones. The song is called Signs. Give me your questions, please, in all capital letters. Keon is helping me to identify them. We were talking a little bit earlier about the powers of the day. Tomorrow we will be acknowledging and feeding Babalu Oye. Babalu Oye is very practical. Babalu Oye is an extension or a branch of Eshu, Legba, Papa Legba. He is not Papa Legba. He is not Eshu. They are not, though they are the same. They are just like your Trinity. That they are individual. They are unique. They have their own positions, yet they are unified. And within that is Babalu Oye. We keep Babalu Oye behind the door, just like we would Eshu, just like we would Ilegwa. Eshu technically goes outside, behind your house, behind your temple. It is Ilegwa that we keep behind the door. And tomorrow we feed Babalu Oye. And Babalu Oye of the deities, of the Orisha, is probably one of the simplest to acknowledge. He's humble, he's kind, he's patient. He's not going to require what Oshun might require. He's not going to require what Ogun might require. But Babalu Oye would be satisfied with your popcorn, coffee, basic things, basic fruit, basic offerings like tobacco, chewing tobacco, smoking tobacco, corn. Babalu Oye is not as expensive in terms of how we look at other deities. That's the vessel that was broken. The vessel I was referring to was Babalu Oye. The top of Babalu Oye's vessel was broken in that swamp. And it's now a sign of what we're dealing with today, what we're living with today. So Babalu Oye heals infirmities, but can also, it's said, cause them, project them, can create retributive scenarios biologically within a bloodline, within a lineage. So if your head was made by someone who's not clear, that has been passed down through your lineage. If you come from a messy house, that is now in your blood. It's now been made on you. It's now been placed on your head. And I can't tell you the stories that I hear every day, that I see every day of drama. Well, my godmother this, my godfather that. We fell out over this, we fell out over that. My Hogan, my Mambo, this, that, this, that. We're talking about Babalu Oye. And so when those infections, when those diseases, when those imbalances exist in your circle, in your family, just it mirrors what we're dealing with today. And so we have to be still, we have to be quiet, we have to be cleansed, we have to be clean, we have to be purified, and then shine. And then shine in this time. And be grateful and be humble for life, for being alive. This will touch many families. This will touch many of you. Many of you. There's some among the sound of my voice who won't be here in 14 days, won't be here in 28 days. And every day I'm counting 14 days back. Every day I count what was I doing 14 days ago from right now. You know, who would have thought we would be living like this? Who would have thought? Help me out, y'all. Have I missed my questions, my comments, my requests? Please, in all capital letters so that I can see them and acknowledge them. Tasha Sweets, thank you so much. Kiona Carter, thank you so much. Kayla Talk, thank you so much for being present. Aduoa, thank you. Cash App. I don't use Cash App, beloved. Just PayPal. I don't trust Cash App. So just PayPal. I apologize for that. Chris King 81 Lot. Thank you so much for being present. You asking about this crystal? Or are you asking about the crystal that I had in my hand? The crystal on my neck I've had for decades. Bought it somewhere in California. I can't remember the name of the shop or the shop owner. So I couldn't even tell you if she's still in operation. In 1986, she was in Hollywood Boulevard in one of the shops on the mountainside of the valley side of Hollywood Boulevard. Then she moved right before I left California in 93 to not Sunset Boulevard, Melrose. She moved to Melrose Boulevard. And so that's where I bought this crystal in particular. And it's double terminated, which means it has formed a natural termination at the bottom, but also at the top. You can't see the one at the top, of course, because it's behind the silver. And I made this and designed this myself so that the double termination would be exposed. So if you could look in here, inside is completely open. And so that point, that termination is there. You just can't see it on camera. So this is a double terminated, self-healed, meaning this other termination is not pointy and shiny like this, but it has self-healed itself. And so it'll be covered with a whole lattice work, almost like tiny triangles that have been smoothed, where the crystal is starting to create another termination. And that's called self-healed double terminator. And then the color inside is primarily greenish because it has a phantom in it that includes chloride. Chloride is a cleansing, purifying, health-oriented, prosperity-oriented, growth-oriented mineral that we use when we're working with crystals, minerals, and stones. If you were asking me about this one, I'm not sure exactly which one you were asking about. The ones on my hands, the ones that I've been putting in front of the camera. So, Chris, beloved, if you can come back and you're still here, hit me up with that again. I'll be a little bit more specific. Oh, I see you now, the ones I had in my hands. You mean this one? I bought this one at the French Quarter Gem and Lapidary on St. Philip Street. That is my favorite and preferred crystal shop in New Orleans. French Quarter Gem and Lapidary on St. Philip Street in the French Quarter. If you're in the city and you're walking St. Philip towards Cafe Du Monde, the coffee shop, the crystal shop is going to be, I think, 2 blocks before you get to Cafe Du Monde on the left side of the street. So Cafe Du Monde is at your back. You're going to walk about a block and a half up, maybe 2, and French Quarter Gym and Lapidary will be on the right side of the street. And they have everything from the inexpensive to the, oh my God, I wish I could afford that. And it's that kind of shop. You'll see stuff in French Quarter Lapidary that'll just make you shake your head. Because they can hit you in your budget. We're talking really nice pieces. Now they do have, $20 pieces, $30 pieces, depending on what you're doing. Smaller pieces are great for jewelry, making things, creating things. But I often say that if you're going to work ritual, if you're going to do healing work, you got to take these stones seriously. And yeah, they can get into your budget. They can get into your budget. This is a rutilated crystal ball, and it's called Harlequin Quartz, meaning it has veils of hematite in it, which give it sort of a red hue, but they show up like veils within it. And the rutile shows up like gold wires, gold fibers that run through the crystal ball. So a crystal ball like this costs $60. A crystal ball like this. So, you know, it's two different mindsets. The person who's, very budget conscious, very financially conscious, wants to buy things, wants to have things, but wants to spend the minimum. That's okay, but you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Can you get really powerful stones at the lower end? Absolutely. But your gem knowledge has to be on point. Your stone and mineral knowledge has to be on point. I've bought from the dollar bag, from the $5 basket, and found phantoms because the store owner couldn't see it, couldn't identify it. Just like I keep holding this up to the camera, but you can't see the phantom. So maybe the store owner can't see the phantom either. The vendor can't see the phantom either. But because you can, and you go in and you see it, and it's in the $5 basket, $10 basket, okay, you've got a blessing. But you can't go at it with that first as your first thought. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. You're then going to find that you could be buying some BS. Now, in terms of faking quartz, if it's perfectly clear, absolutely crystal clear, it's lead. Natural quartz is going to have a veil. Natural quartz is going to have some kind of inclusion. Natural quartz is going to have something going on the inside. This is calcite. That's optical calcite, which is also clear. They call this optical calcite because, you see my ring, you see my fingers. Now, if I put that on a piece of paper, the letters would repeat, would double, would shift. So this is called optical calcite. And it's a really good piece of optical calcite. It also has hematite in it. That red gorge right there, that's hematite. And this is natural, by the way. This isn't man-made. This isn't cut like this. This comes out of the ground like this. And it layers. So I could take a piece of metal or something and literally chip this off, and it would come off in a layer, or a piece, or a chunk, and it'll hold the same geometry, the same math as this optical calcite. I use optical calcite to switch to change realities. Things are going wrong. Things are going negative. The conversation is getting tense. We didn't got off topic. We didn't got off subject. I flip the calcite. I change the direction of the energy flow interdimensionally in space in you and the space around you. But you're going to have some sort of inclusion. There's going to be something present to let you know that it's natural. Now, this is also natural. This would be a single point, single terminated piece of clear quartz. It has been broken off from a much bigger cluster. It probably laid down in the cluster. This rough side fits in my hand so smoothly and so well, but it would have been laid into a cluster, sort of like that, with that clearer side out. That side was given the opportunity to grow and to form. And the green and the red that you see in that is rutile, not rutile, I'm sorry, hematite, which is strengthening, gives you strength, gives you foundation, gives you power, um, gives you a sense of motivation, activation, your hematite. It can protect you from outside energy, outside influences, negative energy, negative projections, and then the chloride adds that cleansing effect. And so it's a tool that I can hold in my hand, that I can either project energy out through the window. Sometimes I will apply it in a crystal, hands-on crystal cleansing and healing. But your stones are always going to have something inside of them that suggests natural, as opposed to manufactured, man-made, etc. I know I've gotten off just a little bit. I can do that. Help me, Kiona, to bring it back on track. Am I missing anything here? Because I'm going to end the show soon if you all don't have questions, comments, requests for me. Thank you, Kiona. All questions have been answered. Um, Chris King, have I answered all your questions? Did you want to see some more? This is also a twin. Now, this is called twin quartz. So you have one piece of quartz that has grown in or evolved in or emerged into another. One termination is here. So this is one piece here. This is the body. And this is your second one here. They're both tabular, meaning that they're sort of flat and wide. Those are called tabular quartz. And tabular quartz is used for communication, sending energy inter and intradimensionally from one person, place, or thing to another. So a twin, tabular twin like this, you've got this third baby terminator right here. So this is actually a triplet. It's great for communicating in a couple, in a twinning group, or in sending energy into other dimensional spaces and times, bringing two forces, two people, two things together and sort of unifying them. That's what we utilize twins for. This one is probably a little bit more group, business, ritual work. This one will be a little bit more love and relationships. These two here. And so each tool, each quartz is going to have a very specified job, a very specified uses. This double terminator has all this red in it. That's hematite. This is my warrior terminator. I use this when I'm doing battle. This piece right here send lightning bolts. Cabiocele. This piece right here will shut down persons, places, and things. And it has this little patch here that is sometimes in the book referred to as lithium. And I have my questions about that because you don't know if a piece of crystal has lithium in it or on it unless it has absolutely been tested scientifically in the lab. But it's said to add a mental health component to this piece of quartz. And of course, it has this cluster on the front. This is a cluster of about 30 baby double terminators. It has natural form terminator on both ends, so it probably grew in soft clay or an environment that allowed it not to bump up against other crystals and other rocks. And so it formed perfect terminations on both ends. And then this whole family of double terminators here in the front. So this is also great for working with groups, families, my remote work, working with you at home, working with more than one person at a time, attending to more than one energy at a time. This is great for this. And this is one of my battle pieces. Doing war, going into battle. This is one of the first pieces that I grab for, that I pick up for. Yes, indeed, Keona, they're truly alive. Our gemstones are truly alive. They're tools that the creators have given us. You just can't use your imagination. You just can't logic out that this is just a rock somehow. And science knows this because this is what runs our computers. These quartz crystals and slices and synthesized manifestations of these quartz crystals. Now this is Herkimer diamond. Herkimer diamond is naturally double terminated. In fact, it's naturally multi terminated. Herkimer diamonds grow in Herkimer County, New York. I believe they grow in a soft clay environment because they are allowed to then form multiple terminations all over the body. You just are not going to see a Herkimer diamond that's elongated, that's a point, that's a wand. Herkimer diamonds are always going to be diamonds, multi terminated. It even has this baby multi terminated Herkimer diamond growing on the side. Actually, it's two of them. It's one here, and then there's another right in here. It's actually two of them just coming out the side of the double terminator. And these are great because of their clarity. These are some of the clearest stones you can find in your rock shop. And then it has carbon in it. You know, carbon is what creates diamonds. So it has the carbon element in it. And it makes the Herkimer diamonds really hard, really resilient, able to deal with a great deal of intense energy. It's another stone that I like to bring out during times of challenge to break up strongholds, to break up blocks, to break up areas where energy needs to flow and come through. Stagnation, things that don't seem to be progressing, things that don't seem to be evolving. I call on my Herkimer diamonds. And I have many of them. This is just one of my more favorite ones. So it's close to me, and it's close in reach. Earlier on, I talked about the bird cage and this lovely generator. A generator has a flat bottom, either by nature or by polish. Now, this has been polished, and you know that because it's shiny like a mirror. See that? You can see my computer screen in the bottom of this quartz. So it's been polished by man, and it's been polished for the right reasons. When they polish a stone like this, it's because of what's in it. They want you to either be able to see what's in it to a greater degree and to be able to access what's in it. And as I said before, it has this sort of rutile bird's nest in it. There's a plant in the ocean or an animal in the ocean that looks like a porcupine. Am I calling it by the right name, Keon? I think it's a sea orchard. Um, yeah, I'm still reading. I think it's called a sea orchid, but that's what it reminds me of. And I use this to trap energy, dark energy, negative energy, black magic, dark magic, harmful magic. I use this to trap it. And then the quartz sends it through the galactic universe to another location. Because remember, all energy is forever. All energy that exists is forever. Negative or positive, good or bad. It can be created, recreated, shaped. Recycled is probably a better word than recreated. But it's here. So when we are removing dark energy, removing negative energy, we have to send it somewhere. And so this sends it out into the universe to another side of the universe. Just like the black hole that exists in your black obsidian sends things through the black hole and it comes out the other side of the universe as pure white light. It's useful somewhere else. We eat food to take the energy out of the food, out of the produce, out of whatever we're eating. We deposit it back in nature, and then it is used, recreated in nature as energy for something else. This is black obsidian. This is one of the oldest pieces of black obsidian that I have. Jean Pierre Mintz gave me this black obsidian in Pasadena, California, back in 1991. Love you, John Mintz. You ain't on Facebook here lately, so I don't know what's going on with you, but it's one of my oldest pieces that I have. Black obsidian. This is golden sheen black obsidian. So if you move it a little bit, as you can see, as the light passes through it, you get that golden sheen effect. Almost like glitter trapped inside the glass. If you don't understand, this is glass. This is volcanic glass. Black obsidian is volcanic glass. The volcano creates this glass and then it is harvested and then shaped, usually in, items, religious or ritual or cultural items, but also in spheres. Usually I have a black obsidian ball, like right in front of me. And so I use that as a black hole to send unuseful, unhelpful, negative energy into. And so that's what I'm referencing when I talk about the quartz then sends that energy somewhere else in the galaxy. If you look at this up close, it's full of galaxies. It's full of star clusters. It's full of universes. And your natural organic quartz is going to manifest that. You will have and find quartz that is optically clear, but it's still going to have some sort of geometry in it, some sort of math in it, that is detectable, that is recognizable, that shows up in the stone, either to the eye, naked eye, or under the microscope. Black tourmaline, another black stone, and this is a stone. This is volcanic glass. This is a stone, mineral crystal, black tourmaline, and it has a bit of apophyllite on it. Apophyllite is not a quartz family crystal, but a completely different shape, creation, dynamic altogether. I don't know where my other piece of apophyllite is. I usually keep several pieces of apophyllite right here in front of me. Oh, here it is. It was hiding behind my tiger eye. Tiger eye. So this is apophyllite, and that's what you see clustering on the black tourmaline. And black tourmaline is used to consciously remove negative energy. And I say consciously because you have to be thinking about it, you have to be aware of it, and you have to choose to send and emit that energy through the tourmaline, and it then traverses the universe and enters the black hole and goes to another place where it can be recreated, reutilized, repurposed for a more helpful purpose. Please forgive me if things are freezing and slowing down. Please forgive me. I'm going to end the show, Kiana. Um, you asked if I'm still reading live. Did someone have a question? Did someone have a question? Did someone want to be read here live on air? Am I still buffering, Kiana? Can you hear me? Did someone need a reading right now? If not, I'm going to drink me some water and end the show. Girl, you don't want a reading. You just have a general question. What did you want to ask me about, beloved? Go ahead. What do you want to ask me about, Kiana? You just want a general reading. I'm really talking about people that got a question, got a pressing issue. So what's your question and your pressing issue? Come on, Kiana. Okay, what's the question? Hit me with it. Okay, Kiana. Madison say hello, hello. That's what T.S. Madison say. Is this thing on? Am I recording? I love me some T.S. Madison. She's one of my celebrity clientele. I'm back, beloved. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Are we all in sync? Yes, it's on. First of all, you're operating in destiny. As it relates to career, education, how you earn your living, personal life path choice, you're operating in destiny. And that is both good and a little unsettling. It's good in that it's our path. We do the work. We choose. We decide whether we're going to do good in school. We decide if we're going to move on to the next level of education. We get to choose what our major, what our minor is. But you're also being asked to walk in destiny, in truth. So that means to some degree, God, the goddess, is creating your path. You might find that if you try and move against it, move away from it, operate outside of it, you might experience resistance. Whether you understand it or not, you're in control. Whether you understand it or not, it is your responsibility to be in control. Whether you can see it right now or not, you should be self-employed. You should be moving forward as you are. You've got to use more of your sun energy. S-U-N, sun energy. Intellect, reason, math, wisdom, science. There might be yet something that you need to initiate, that you need to humble yourself to be taught, to be given, to be gifted, Gifted, in order to find things move forward for you fluidly. And the last thing I'm going to say before I move on is you must take responsibility for your own happiness. And you must not allow your own happiness, your own idea and sense about love, relationships, partnerships, to then interfere in your career path. And I'm confronted with this often with some of my clients, my self-employed clients, my entertainers, my performers, lawyers, people who are in businesses that they can do and work for themselves. It will complicate your love life. It'll complicate your friendship life. People feel some kind of way, and not all people understand self-employment with any degree of clarity. Some people want to be self-employed, but I don't know what I would do. I don't, that kind of thing. So you're blessed if you know what to do. You're blessed if you're prepared to move forward in it. But understand it's going to be a lot of work. Self-employment requires more hours than punching the clock because self-employment means you're the boss, you're the janitor, you're the secretary, you know, you're the owner, you're the proprietor, et cetera, et cetera. So move forward. This is your season. Destiny is with you, Kiona, but continue to move forward. Please give me your next question, comment, and request from my chat. Delish Apple Love, thank you so much for being present. We appreciate you. I need you to type your questions in capital letters if you want me to see it. I can't do an ancestral reading right here. That's a whole nother thing. It will require you sending me an email request to DivinePrince at houseofthedivineprince.com and probably signing up for ancestral divination. That would be kind of complex for me to do. Even now, when I hesitate and when I close my eyes, I'm attempting to hear, and they can't speak over this crowd. There's a lot more going on with you and around you. Um, I'm curious as to where you are literally physically right now because of the number of energy and people that are showing up around you. But they can't speak right now through the crowd. They say, they say, can you hear me? Are you with me? I had a brief interruption there. A beloved who asked me about the ancestors. I'm not sure how much you heard. Things buffered. When I opened my eyes, my video wasn't even rolling. Um, so please send me an email. Yeah, please send me an email and I'll be able to more personally directly get that message to you. What I was saying before I started buffering was I can't. Your ancestors can't speak through the crowd, and then the buffering started, and things sort of froze up altogether, which sort of symbolic of what I was trying to say to you. So yes, send me the email and let's work on that personally, specifically, individually. Kayla Chalk says in a recent dream, a child came to her whispering, Kayla's is coming, and I've been trying to find meaning. Okay, let me be clear. The child whispered, Kayla is coming. That could be a sign, again, of evolution, growth, you becoming a new person, you manifesting a new side of yourself, you being something that you have not done before. And let's be clear, it's not very hard to imagine right now that we're all going to sort of wake up from this dream and be in a new world. We have no idea what the world is going to look like after this. We have no idea what the world is going to look like, in 3 months, 4 months, a year from now, and what adjustments we might have to make, what adjustments we might have to take on. So, if I'm reading your question correctly, if the child is saying Kayla is coming, it does not sound like, a prediction of death. It doesn't sound like your ancestors are saying you're coming to where they are. It sounds more like a ancestor suggesting a opening, a growth, an evolution to who you are as a person and as an individual. Yeah, I can imagine that would spook you. I pray that all is well with you and yours, each and every one of you, under the sound of my voice. Um, According to my clock, we've gone 90 minutes, which is a great deal of a show, an hour and a half. I certainly do appreciate each and every one of you and your love, your support, your honesty, your commitment to the work, your commitment to the truth of the work. My prayer, my goal, my aspiration, my dream is that Voodoo stands up in the middle of any tragedy, in the middle of any calamity. Babalu Oye has his way and does his thing and shows up and shows out. And from it, we have life. And from it, we rebirth life into the universe in a new way, in a more creative way, in a more careful way, in a cleaner way, in a more hygienic way. But right now, we sit still. Get your exercise, move about your house, move about your environment if you can safely. I know some of you live in apartment buildings and you have to take extra precautions. Live in congested communities, congested cities, and you have to take extra precautions. Think about Haiti. Think about Cuba. Think about Colombia. Think about Antigua. Think about those who are still. And just be still and allow spirit to create in you, to birth new ideas in you, to send dreams to you that you can write down now and interpret now and take the time to see this grow and come to fruition. I believe this is the time for Voodoo, Voodoo Worldwide. This is time for the spiritual practitioners to truly be authentic about what they say and what they do. This ain't the time for trickery. This ain't the time for kitchen witches. This ain't the time for wannabes, wannabe practitioners. This is the time. People need healing right now. People need love right now. People need energy to motivate them right now. People need a reason to keep moving forward right now. People need a reason to entertain and challenge their children in a different way every day right now while they're occupied at home. So, oh my, please, children, hear me. My people, this is the time to be spiritual for real. For real. And acknowledge where you are in your journey. And pick up those books. Do your study. Learn some Yoruba. Learn some Ewe. This is the time. A lot of us ain't got nothing else to do right now. This is the time. I'm busy. The calls, the email requests, steadily. I'm busy and I'm open for you 24 hours a day, now more than ever before. I'm here for you. You just can't knock on my door and ring my bell. But I'm here for you. Or you can knock on my door and leave that package. And I'm going to spray it off and let it dry and spray it off again before I bring it in. But this is the time, y'all. What do we do? How to react? How do we respond? Be still. Listen. Create. Be loved. Be neighborly. Be healthy. Be whole. Be joy. Be happy. Be excited about what you're creating, what you're making, what you're producing, what you're managing. Be happy and be alive. Be alive. At the end of this, we want to all be alive and be healthy and be happy and be doing our thing. But ATR community, this is the time to get serious. This is the time to feed your SU. This is the time to feed your ancestors. This is the time to clean these altars off. This is the time to activate these shrines. This is the time to activate who and what we say we are and what we say we believe. I am because my creators are. All powerful, open, receptive to all that operates for my good. In this most present moment in time space, I am because my ancestors are. I am because my creators are. I survive and survived because my ancestors survived and survived. And so you too have the survival. I'm losing my battery. I may be forced to end the show. I'm losing my battery. I'm plugged in, but it keeps saying I'm losing battery. Forgive me, y'all. I was losing power, and I had to be sure I was plugged in right. Listen, I'm willing to give y'all all my time, but only if you have questions. Only if you're active in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to stop and have breakfast and get me some fluids and look forward to meeting with you later on. I am because my creators are. All is a blessing. Until next time. Asheo.